Psychology Science Series, 3rd episode, The Memory Boundary from a man who forgot everything to the AI that remembers too much. Imagine waking up in a hospital bed. A doctor walks in. You talk for 10 minutes. He seems kind. Maybe you shake his hand. He steps out. 1 minute later, he walks back in, and you look at him like it's the first time. Hi, sorry, who are you? This isn't a film. It isn't a thought experiment. It actually happened to a man named Henry Molaison. In the annals of neuroscience, you know him by his initials, HM. Henry wasn't famous for what he did. He was famous for what he lost. And what he lost completely changed how we understand the human mind. In 1953, at 27 years old, Henry suffered from debilitating epilepsy. To stop the seizures, surgeons removed a structure deep in his brain called the hippocampus. The surgery worked, but something else broke. From that day forward, Henry couldn't form new long-term memories. You could have a brilliant, hour-long conversation with him, leave the room for 5 minutes, and come back. He'd have no idea you'd ever met. He still remembered his life before 1953, but every day after, the world reset. He lived that way for 55 years. But here is the twist. Henry could still learn. Researchers had him trace a shape while only watching his hand in a mirror, a notoriously difficult task. Over time, Henry got better at it. He had no memory of ever practicing, but his hands knew. His mind didn't, but his body did. That was a revelation. It proved that memory isn't one hard drive. It's a distributed system. Facts, events, and skills are all stored in different parallel files. Here is the bigger point. Memory isn't just how we store data. It's how we build a self. Why you trust certain people. Why a song hits you out of nowhere. Why you feel at home in a new room. That's memory operating in the background. It isn't just the photo album of your life. It's the operating system. Without it, you are still running, but the narrative is gone. HM's tragedy was a self that couldn't update. Now, we are doing the exact opposite. We are outsourcing our memories on purpose. When was the last time you memorized a phone number? Do you know your best friend's birthday without checking your phone? Can you recall the details of your last vacation? Probably not. But your phone can. Your photos can. Your AI can. In 1998, philosophers Andy Clark and David Chalmers proposed the extended mind thesis. They argued that if a tool like a notebook is essential to how you navigate the world, that tool is effectively part of your cognitive system. At the time, it was philosophy. Now, it's our reality. Your smartphone isn't a tool you use. It is an extension of how you remember, plan, and think. And AI is the next, more powerful link in that chain. The question isn't whether to use it. The question is, what happens to you when you do? If you stop storing information internally, you stop processing it deeply. The effort of recalling, of sitting with a thought and reconstructing it, is where understanding actually happens. If you skip the struggle, you might own the data, but you never really make it yours. And then there's a darker issue. AI doesn't just remember your information. It remembers your iterations, every search, every abandoned draft, every 2:00 a.m. question, every version of yourself you thought you'd left behind. Human growth requires a certain amount of forgetting. You need to be able to move on from older versions of yourself to become someone new. But what happens when a system has logged every version of you? When AI can pull up exactly what you believed, wanted, and feared 3 years ago? Does that help you grow? Or does it anchor you to a past version of yourself that you have outgrown? HM was trapped because he couldn't hold on to the present. He lived in a permanent now, unable to build a future. But imagine the opposite. A life where every moment is perfectly preserved, externally logged, searchable, and never decaying. That's a different kind of prison. A place where the past never fades, and where the system that knows you best might also be the very thing that holds you in place. Memory tools aren't going away. Writing gives us civilization. The internet gives us access. AI gives us something new, a system that can know our history and help us navigate the future. That is incredibly powerful, but there is a difference between using a tool and being shaped by it. If you always rely on GPS, you lose your spatial intuition. If you always ask AI to summarize, you lose the ability to build your own understanding. That's not a reason to reject the technology. It's a reason to be deliberate. Decide what you still want to keep in your own head. Decide what you need to forget. HM's case gives us a gift. He showed us that memory is the thing that makes you, you. Now we are at a crossroads. We can extend our minds beyond our skulls. A feat of technology that is nothing short of miraculous. But we have to be careful. The self has always been a story we tell, assembled by fragments, edited over time, and held together by the very human act of remembering. Don't let the system take over the writing. Keep the authorship of who you are.